Hi everybody, it's Andy, and welcome again to my office in Modesto, California. I'm an attorney licensed to practice law in California as well as New York. In this video, we're going to go over a California-specific form, and it's specifically a proof of service unique to California family law cases. It's the form FL335, proof of service by mail. So, a proof of service, if you've never kind of dealt with one or kind of seen one, a proof of service is basically a receipt showing that a particular document was sent from one party to another or from one party to the court, etc. So a proof of service is very, very important to fill out because it's sort of a trail about what documents were delivered to who, when. And as you can probably imagine in court, if you've ever been to court or if you found this video, you're probably involved in a court case right now. Dates, when stuff was sent to who and stuff, that can actually be very, very important because in law there's a lot of like fixed deadlines, like 30 days to do this, 2 weeks to do this, etc. So dates, very, very important. In traveling the kind of like northern part of California, I guess, doing family law cases in various counties, what I've noticed is that a lot of people, particularly if they're doing it themselves, actually especially if they're doing their family law case themselves, they often don't know how to fill out a proof of service, where to get it, why it's important, etc. So hopefully this video is going to go over all of those questions for you. So if you have a family law case of your own that you're dealing with, hopefully after seeing this video, you'll know why the proof of service is so important. So the FL335 form, which I'm going to go over here, the proof of service by mail, also has a counterpart. It's a form FL330. That's proof of service by personal service. The forms are very, very similar. I'm going to shoot a companion video to this one in which I go over the form 330, the personal service one, but the forms are very, very similar. So if you see this video and you look at the other one, you'll kind of realize that both of them are kind of the same. So, but some people want the 335, the mail one, and then some people need the 330, the personal one. So I'm going to go ahead and shoot them both. So anyway, that said, that's the kind of the introduction, I guess. So. As you can probably imagine, these forms are probably going to be on the computer for the most part, so if you guys will hop online with me right now, I will show you how to fill it out. You can always fill these forms out by hand, but I personally type everything that I send to court because I kind of know that my handwriting is kind of bad. Yeah, so guys, hop online with me right now and I will show you how to do it.
Okay everybody, welcome to the form FL335, proof of service by mail for California family law cases. As I described in the intro video, there is also a companion form to this for personal service. It's the form FL330, and I have a video on that as well. So that said, this stuff right here should actually look fairly familiar to you if you have seen any of my other videos or have filled out any other court forms before. So I'm going to go over this quickly. Name and mailing address of either the attorney who represents you or your information if you don't have an attorney. Name, mailing address, phone number goes there. If you have a fax, go ahead and put it down if you want the court to fax you anything, I suppose. I usually don't put down my fax number here. There's no point because it's optional anyway. But fax number, email address, if you want to put that down, again, it's also optional. But if you have an attorney, your name should go here. If you don't have an attorney, you can put down here in pro per, which is actually just a fancy way of saying that you're representing yourself. So over here, the next kind of area, right here, this is where you need to put down the address of the courthouse where your case is. You need to indicate the county, first of all, so right there. But as long as you have the address number, the street name, the city, state, and zip code for the courthouse, you should be fine. And next, right here, this is where you identify the parties. So the plaintiff or the defendant, petitioner, respondent, whoever it is, put them in the appropriate box. So plaintiff goes there, defendant goes here. If there is a third party involved in your case for some reason, most often it is the County Department of Child Support, you can go ahead and put them there as well. So over here on the right, case number. If you're looking at this video, hopefully you know what your case number is, or you have a good idea of where you can go get that information. Case numbering is not kind of uniform or standardized throughout California, so each county does it differently. Over here, if whatever it is that you're serving is related to a hearing that is upcoming, I would go ahead and put the date of that hearing, the time, and the courtroom or department. Having that information sometimes can be helpful, but if you don't know what it is or if it doesn't apply to your situation, you can go ahead and leave this blank. So that said, this is like the standard stuff on every, or almost every California court form, so hopefully this is not new to any of you. So moving on, there are certain things in California that by law have to be served in person. So temporary restraining orders are one of those things. So if you actually are trying to serve a temporary restraining order by mail, you actually can't. So don't use this form. Go ahead and use the form 330. Like I said, I have a companion video detailing how to fill in that form. So the next part actually is where a lot of people have problems. And I guess it's like a misunderstanding type of thing. So in order to serve documents in a legal case, you generally have to satisfy 3 criteria. So the first is that you have to be at least 18 years old. That's usually not a problem. I've never run into a case where a child was trying to serve something. So number 3, I guess, is that you have to be a resident or employed in the county where the mailing took place. Generally, this isn't a problem either. The problem usually is this one. So not a party to the action or case. A lot of times people have never been to court before, they've never, had to, sue somebody before, etc. So they don't really understand that, they can't serve papers themselves. So plaintiffs cannot serve defendants, defendants cannot serve plaintiffs, etc. Yeah, that's usually the biggest stumbling block. So the thing is, I usually take a much broader view and I say, okay, the plaintiff's spouse can't serve either, the plaintiff's children can't serve, the plaintiff's parents can't serve, etc., etc. I usually get somebody who is not related to the parties at all by blood, marriage, etc., to actually do the service. That's usually the safest thing. And generally, people like that are not too terribly hard to find with a little bit of effort. So that said, next part here is whoever actually does the service, they need to put down a mailing address that they can be reached at. So, I mean, it says residence and or business, but, some people don't want to put down the residence address. Some people don't want to get court papers at their work because, it begets a lot of rumors and stuff. So as long as you put down a mailing address here that you, the person who did the service, can be contacted at later if need be, that's generally sufficient. So next part, I personally think, is the most important part of the document, and it's where you actually put down a description of what it was that you served. So my recommendation here is to put down something that is sufficiently detailed where several months down the road, or maybe a year later, when you look at this document, you can read whatever it was that you typed here and instantly sort of remember what it was. So the thing is, if you just put down something general where it's like, letter to opposing party, unless your memory is way better than mine, I personally would not be able to remember what letter to opposing party meant. So I usually will put down dates, names, etc., to kind of make the description more specific. So the next part, most people who do proofs of service like this, they usually will have mailed the envelope themselves. So, taken it to a post office, dropped it in one of those blue mailboxes that are kind of scattered around town. That's usually what happens, and if that's the case in your situation, then go ahead and check box A here. However, if you mailed the envelope in question from your work, and your office has like a mail room, and there's employees who just kind of process mail all the time, a lot of times they'll have a basket or something where it's like the mail is picked up at 3. If you have mail that has to go out, just toss it in the basket, and then at 3 o'clock the postman comes and takes the whole bag with him or something. If that's the case in your situation, go ahead and check B like that. So Number four is also important, but the basic idea here is, I think it's self-explanatory. Whoever the envelope was addressed to, you put that there. The address where the envelope was mailed to, put that there. And lastly, you put the date that the mailing took place and the city and the state where the mailing was made. So this is probably going to be the second most important bit, I guess, of the proof of service. You need to show that the date was you need to show what the date was, I guess. Don't leave that blank. And second to last, if you're serving some document that has a connection to children, so child custody, visitation, support, anything like that, go ahead and check this box also. California courts generally tend to be they tend to be more cautious, I guess. Treat cases involving children more. They tend to give them more consideration, I guess. And that box is how you tell them that, hey, let's take a minute and do this properly because there are children involved here. Lastly, what you need to do here is date it. Put the date here, type your name, and then sign over on the right. This part is pretty self-explanatory also, except I do need to kind of describe one thing about the date. You cannot declare under penalty of perjury something that will happen. You can only do so for things that have happened. So the date of mailing back here and the date down here, they can be the same date. However, this date cannot come after this one. So for example, you can't put down June 1, 2015, and up here put down June 10, 2015. That doesn't make any sense because you're declaring under penalty of perjury on June the 1st that on June the 10th, sometime in the future, something was mailed. That doesn't make any sense. You can put it as June the 1st. That's fine, like that. Or you can put down May 31st. That's fine too. But you just can't do it where this date right here is in the future from this one. That's all. So hopefully that made sense. This is the Form FL335, Proof of Service by Mail in Family Law Cases. I have a companion video, like I said, that goes over the Form 330 for personal service. And yeah, hopefully that made sense, and I will talk to you guys later. Thanks.